Incremental things. Let's continue the course. In this case, I have a question, or you may have a question. What or who controls the learning pace in SuperMemo? Is the user or is the scheduling algorithm? So we will understand the balance between the system-driven review and the user-driven progression. What you do as a user and what SuperMemo does as a software. Then, what's the core idea? System-driven repetitions. So whenever I create an item, it will be scheduled. And once I do a repetition on that item, it will have the next repetition scheduled. Like never ending, ad infinitum, because it's for long-term memory, right? There's no end, basically. Nice. So SuperMemo optimizes according to what it thinks it's the optimal interval. Meaning that if it's longer in the future, I will have more time to add new stuff and learn more stuff, meaning quicker speed. Then user-driven speed. You decide how many items you learn each day. Then this is taken from the SuperMemo pedia. One of the questions says, hey, I have 4,000 pending items. What does that mean? You may think like in Anki, right? That, okay, I only have flashcards and space repetition. I don't have incremental reading. The learning takes place elsewhere. Then I have the concept of new cards. And then in Anki you can say, oh, I have a threshold, a cap, a ceiling. That many new cards per day. I think the default is 20 per deck. Well, deck group settings, should I say. In SuperMemo that doesn't exist. Because you create the cards via close deletion in incremental reading. If you have pending items, it's because you have imported those items from XML, CSV, whatever import method you may have used. Then in this scenario, which is not incremental reading, by the way, is, okay, how I tell SuperMemo, yeah, like, behave like Anki. Limit to 20 per day. Vanilla experience doesn't exist. Let's continue. But basically is how many new items you will introduce depends on you. Then the software will schedule that accordingly. Then, why SuperMemo schedule repetitions? Memory performance. So it is using space repetition because you want to remember this long term. Then uses optimal retention. It wants to increase the recall rate or the retention rate at the same time that minimizes the number of repetitions you will want to do. So more or less it gets the review when you're about to forget it. Nice. Then there's an adaptive approach. Dates adjust as you succeed or struggle with specific items. If the item is harder, there's a difficulty setting, by the way, there's a metric, the intervals will grow slower. And if it's easier, the intervals will grow quicker. So this will affect the speed. Because if they are easier, you'll do less repetitions, meaning you will have more time for learning new things. So you will learn new things quicker. Nice. Then, the role in controlling new items. You decide how many fresh cards enter the daily review queue. More or less. Using the pending queue. Then, in case you don't know, stages, new material. When you enter this stage, you start, now I will do it. In my case I have 19, no sorry, that's a subset that I did before. Nice. So this is you see it's a pending item. The tag will be 1, Irish. In June, second item, third, I'm in control. I can stop anytime because I'm doing the pending queue. I can also see the pending queue, view, other, pending. I have more than 3,000. What I can do is, hey, just give me the first 10, let me do a subset, and now I can guarantee that whatever I do, it will be limited to 10. I cannot go beyond that. Or I can cheat, or I could remember those. And here you go. Or I could say my own interval. Now it's very high because my stats, my optimum interval is very high. But I could say, hey, put an interval between 1 day and 5 days, let's say. Whatever combination you want to do. Or I could use spread. So introduce, let's say, 3 items per day. Whatever you want to do. Nice. So basically the point is that the user, you, are in full control how many items you introduce. If you're in incremental reading, and what you do is Control I Alt Z, close deletion, then every time you do it, you will create an item. And all of the items will be introduced in the learning queue already. If I do 50 close deletions today, I'm introducing 50 items in my learning queue, in my priority queue. It's not, hey, it's in a standby as a new card, and I like in Anki. That doesn't exist. Then, have this in mind. Then no worries that if you don't know what's the pending queue or all of this that I'm saying, there's the videos for that in the course, no worries. Then, there's no forced pace. You can do 1, you can do 50, you can do none tomorrow, 2 next week, whatever. Because you should prioritize quality over quantity. That's why making goals like, hey, I want to do 10 flashcards a day or 100 a week, that's BS. It's meaningless. Absolutely meaningless. It's like, imagine I want to lose weight. And instead of counting calories or whatever, is how many times I have to chew. Oh yeah, I will chew 2,000 times today. Or I will blink my eyes. I will blink 100,000 times today. Doesn't tell me anything. It's more is not better. Fewer is not worse. It's just irrelevant, this metric. The quantity is actually irrelevant. Absolutely irrelevant. You should focus on quality. The quantity is just description of what you have done. It's nothing else than that. Then, if you introduce too many items, you want to go super quick, you will create an overload. And if you create an overload, there are 2 solutions. You either rush, like the let's say the stereotypical Anki user who use Anki for college or university and so on, who flies through the reviews. So the learning is the quality of the learning or the review suffers. It's not the same thing. Or you have an overload that you increase and pile up reviews and reviews to do. One of those cases. Which, by the way, there are priorities for that in SuperMemo. Then you have balancing learning load. Time available. This is useful because perhaps even yourself, perhaps now you have plenty of time. You are spending time for this course because you can take hours a day. Oh, I will invest now to have time to learn how to use SuperMemo, but perhaps in a few months you'll have less time than today. This also happened to me. That I started with plenty of time and then, oops, I have multiple jobs, I have an MBA, let me just do 10 minutes. So whatever time level you have, it's good. You can use SuperMemo, incremental reading, and you will get benefit from it. What's the difference? Is that if you're busy, just keep it low. Do your outstanding and take it slower, more incremental. If you have free time, then you can ramp up. But remember, everything you do today, ahead of time, let's say that, oh, I have plenty of time. Let me do 50 new topic reviews. Yeah, those will be scheduled in the near future. So whatever you do today, it will come tomorrow or later. So have this in mind. And the importance of the materials, basically a priority. That you have less time, focus on the higher priority. That you have more time, you can do the less critical content, meaning lower priority. And the rest can wait. And perhaps even I don't even finish the outstanding, even if I have 8 hours a day. So there was the example from SuperMemopedia was 4,000 items. There's one example. You can set daily target, 10 items. So you actually force. So you go to the outstanding. Sorry, you go to the pending. And then I want to be shown, I do, let's say, learning and a spread. No, I want 10 items per day, which I will need 312 days for that. It's valid. This will be ready now. As a consequence, if I do it, it no longer be pending. It will be memorized, therefore, in my priority queue and my outstanding queue when it becomes outstanding each day. Nice. It's a valid approach. I don't like that. Or what you can do is whenever you use SuperMemo, which is not every day, you can start the new material, the second stage, new material, it's outstanding new material, and then you just go until you are fed up. That I have enough. Perhaps they will be 5, or if they are easy, they will be 15 or 20. Doesn't have to be that 10. This will make more sense. Because then if you realize, hey, now I'm more familiar with this and I see there's some hierarchical knowledge, in this case is history. Let's say this is more or less the same theme. Or it's the same event, the same war in history or whatever. Then, hey, I can relate to this, everything it's related. Then it's easier, I can go further. But what happened? Oh, perhaps it's just random trivia. Like, when was the radio invented? Or who poisoned Claudius? It's random trivia. I cannot connect those facts between them. Then, perhaps I want less elements per day. But shit, I have rescheduled everything already. And those will be memorized already, not pending. If that's important, this difference, if you're doing this, you're importing a collection. So you haven't created your own items, those someone else's items. I prefer this option because you don't know the content. So you cannot take the decision preemptively for the next 300 days and assuming it will be correct, the decision, when you don't have an undo. There's no undo for that. I will suggest the incremental approach instead. Nice. So the example was this. To select 10, then you review and adjust. You can do a subset of the pending. Let's say the first 100 for 10 days. Oh, it was good enough. Then you continue. Or no, it's too much. You do 5. Oh, it's too low. You do 20. So I get the first 200 and I do 20 per day. So the next 10 days I'll have 20. I don't use the entire pending queue. It's one strategy. But why this matters? The autonomy on learning. You, as the user, stay in control. In SuperMemo, the boss is the user. Ensuring the system works for you, not vice versa. Sometimes I get some questions that, hey, how do I adapt to SuperMemo? Or to the algorithm, or to the whatever? No, that's the wrong question. The software needs to adapt to you, not you to the software. If this makes sense. Sorry, I said the software when I meant more the technique. Then, SuperMemo, should I say incremental reading, is not for everyone. There's a video dedicated for that. Then, depends on your, to simplify, depending on your personality and so on, it may be harder, you will experience more friction, or so on. It's not for everyone. Then, the system will adjust to you, but there is some limitations, because you need to respect, at some degree, the interruptions, the incrementalism, and all of that. If I want to cram and cram and cram, there's no incremental reading I can use if I only want to cram. So if my personality is that I don't have patience, I want instant results, and all of that, incremental reading is not for you. Then sustainable progress. If you pace yourself, you will prevent burnout. I'm also guilty of that. Back in the day, with shared decks or decks I generated myself with programming. Oh yeah, I have a few thousand decks of a few thousand flashcards of all of the irregular verbs in English. And since everything is new and I don't create the cards, all I do is show me the next card, right? And I do a few hundred in a few days, or each day I do a few hundred. Yeah, but then they pile up. And then most of my outstanding queue is this. The English verbs. They take too much prominence in my outstanding. 80% of my outstanding queue, it's this. That, oh man. And then you have to cheat or postpone and stuff like that. Incrementalism always wins. Even if you think you can do it today, don't. There's no advantage. You win nothing. You win nothing. Then, what's the takeaway? And SuperMemo ensures optimal review intervals for memorized items, not the pending items. You as a user decide how many items are added from the pending queue based on time, importance, personal preference, and whatever. Do it by chunks, please. And if you don't use the pending queue, you use the incremental reading. If you do a subsets that are very easy to, like they are one repetition away from close deletion, keep also this in mind. I also have done it, and I achieved like 50 or 40 items in one single day, and that's then problematic. Incrementalism always wins. Not because you do more today, you will save time tomorrow. Usually it's the opposite. And you create more problems. So basically, a balanced approach lets you reap the full benefits of a spaced repetition without sacrificing flexibility or pushing yourself into overload. The overload will be there. You just have to live with it. You need to manage the overload. You decide at the speed you introduce new elements. There is a metric for that. Items per year per minute. There's a video dedicated for this. That is what? Per year per minute? What is this metric? Doesn't make sense. In this collection is rather high. You are in full control of this. Then, once there are inside in your collection, memorized, forget about them. The job is for SuperMemo now to take over and schedule them when you need to review them, so you keep them in the long-term memory. Easy. Too much and first priorities. Hope it's useful enough. Keep in mind this video was not to make the details, but just to answer this question. Who controls the pace in SuperMemo? You. You have the power. That's all for now. See you incrementally.